Genesis chapter 31. But Jacob heard that Laban's sons were saying, Jacob has taken all that our father had and gathered all his wealth at our father's expense. And Jacob noticed that Laban's attitude towards him was not the same as before. And the Lord said to Jacob, Go back to the land of your fathers and of your kindred, and I will be with you. So Jacob sent for Rachel and Leah to come to the field where his flocks were. And he said to them, I see that your father's attitude toward me is no longer the same, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I worked for your father with all my heart. But he has made a fool of me by changing my wages 10 times. However, God did not allow him to harm me. If he said, The speckled young will be your wages, all herds bore speckled young, and if he said, The ones with stripes will be your salary, all the herds gave birth to cubs with stripes. That's how God took your father's flocks and gave them to me. At mating time, I had a dream where I looked and saw that the males that fertilized the herd had stripes, were speckled and piebald. The angel of God said to me in the dream, Jacob. I replied, Here I am. Then he said, Look and see that all the males that fertilize the flock are striped, speckled and spotted, because I have seen all that Laban did to him. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and made a vow to me. Get out of this land now and go back to your homeland. Rachel and Leah said to Jacob, Do we still have a share in the inheritance of our father's goods? Does he not treat us like foreigners? Not only did he sell us, he also spent everything that was paid for us. All the wealth that God took from our father is ours and our children's. Therefore, do whatever God has commanded you. Then Jacob helped his sons and their wives to mount the camels. And he led all his flock, together with all the goods that he had accumulated in Padanaram, to go to the land of Canaan, to the house of his father Isaac. While Laban was out shearing his sheep, Rachel stole the clan's idols from her father. That's how Jacob deceived Laban the Aramean, running away without saying anything to him. He fled with all he had and crossed the Euphrates to the mountains of Gilead. 3 days later, Laban was informed that Jacob had fled. Taking the men of his family with him, he pursued Jacob for 7 days and overtook him in the mountains of Gilead. Then, at night, God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream and warned him, Watch out. Don't say anything to Jacob, don't make promises or threats to him. Laban overtook Jacob, who was encamped in the mountains of Gilead. So Laban and the men encamped there as well. He asked Jacob, What have you done? Not only did you deceive me, but you kidnapped my daughters as if they were prisoners of war. Why did you deceive me, running away in secret, without telling me? I would have celebrated your departure with joy and song, to the sound of tambourines and harps. You didn't even let me kiss my grandchildren and daughters goodbye. You were foolish. I have power to harm them, but last night the God of your father warned me, Watch out. Don't say anything to Jacob, don't make him promises or threats. Now, if you left because you were homesick for your father's house, why did you steal my gods? Jacob replied to Laban, I was afraid, for I thought you would take your daughters from me by force. As for your gods, whoever is found with them will not live. In the presence of our relatives, see for yourself whether anything that belongs to you is here with me, and if so, take it back. Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. So Laban went into Jacob's tent, and into the tents of Leah and her 2 maidservants, but found nothing. After leaving Leah's tent, he entered Rachel's tent. Rachel had placed the idols inside her camel's saddle and was sitting on top. Laban searched the entire tent, but found nothing. Rachel said to her father, Don't be angry, my lord, that I can't get up in her presence, for I have the issue of women. He looked for the idols, but did not find them. Jacob was enraged and complained to Laban, What was my crime? What sin have I committed that you furiously pursue me? You've already rummaged through everything that belongs to me. Found something that belongs to you? So lay it all out here before my kindred and yours, and let them judge between the 2 of us. 20 years I was with you. Your ewes and goats never miscarried, and I never ate a ram from your flock. I never brought you animals torn to pieces by wild beasts. I took the damage myself. And you asked for an account of every animal stolen day or night. The heat consumed me by day and the cold by night, and sleep eluded my eyes. It was like that for the 20 years I stayed at his house. I worked for you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your herds, and 10 times you changed my wages. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, the fear of Isaac, were not with me, surely you would send me away empty-handed. But God saw my suffering and the work of my hands, and last night he made his decision known. Laban replied to Jacob, the women are my daughters, the children are mine, the livestock are mine. Everything you see is mine. What can I do for these daughters of mine or for the children born to them? Let us now make, you and I, an agreement that will serve as a witness between the 2 of us. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. And he said to his relatives, gather some stones. They picked up stones and piled them up. Then they ate there beside the pile of stones. Laban called him Jegar-Sahadutha, and Jacob called him Galeed. Laban said, this heap of stones is a witness between you and me this day. That's why he was called Galeed. He was also called Mizpah, because he declared, may the Lord watch over us, you and me, when we are separated from each other. If you mistreat my daughters or belittle them, taking other women besides them, even if no one knows it, remember that God is witness between you and me. Laban said to Jacob, here are this pile of stones and this pillar that I have placed between you and me. They are witnesses that I will not pass over there to harm you, nor will you pass over here to harm me.